Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I will discuss another topic in career success. What if I told you the housing market isn't broken by accident? What if I told you that waiting to finally afford a home might be the biggest trap of our generation? Well, let me share a story that will blow your mind. Meet Steve. Steve did everything right. He got a degree, worked overtime, and saved every dollar he could. Every year, Steve would tell himself, "Next year, I'll buy a house." But every year, prices jumped faster than his savings. Interest rates climbed. Down payments became impossible. Steve wasn't lazy. He wasn't irresponsible. He was playing a game where the rules had already changed. I'm sure you know someone like Steve. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're still playing that game, waiting for the perfect moment to buy a house. But here's the thing. The housing market is rigged against you. Prices are disconnected from wages. Ownership is locked behind debt. And rent is extracting value without building wealth. They own the land, and they charge you forever for access to it. But here's the thing. There's a different way to play the game. A way that doesn't require a mortgage or a down payment. A way that doesn't tie you to a specific location or a lifetime of payments. That's what I want to share with you today. The story of Steve is just the beginning. You see, Steve wasn't just frustrated with the housing market. He was tired of being told to just work harder and save more. He was tired of being trapped in a system that seemed designed to keep him from ever owning a home. And then, one night, Steve noticed something strange. The same people telling him to just work harder were making money online. Not from property, from attention. YouTube channels, newsletters, niche blogs. These were people who didn't own land. They didn't own property. But they owned something just as valuable, eyeballs. And the money they were making wasn't from collecting rent. It was from selling products, services, and ideas to people who were desperate for attention. That's when Steve stopped trying to buy real estate and started building it. But before we dive into the world of digital real estate, let's take a step back. Why is the housing market so broken? What's going on that's making it impossible for Steve and thousands of others like him to own a home? In the next section, we'll explore the enemy, the traditional housing market, and how it's rigged against you. So, let's keep the conversation going. What do you think is the biggest obstacle to owning a home in today's market? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're ready to learn how to build your own digital real estate empire, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more mindset and strategy content. As we dive deeper into the world of digital real estate, I want to tell you a story that will shake you awake. It's the story of Steve, a hardworking individual who thought he was doing everything right. He got a degree, worked overtime, and saved every dollar he could. But every year he told himself, "Next year, I'll buy a house." And every year, prices jumped faster than his savings. Interest rates climbed, and down payments became impossible. Steve wasn't lazy. He wasn't irresponsible. He was playing a game where the rules had already changed. The housing market had shifted, and the traditional path to home ownership was no longer viable. But Steve didn't know that. He thought he was just playing it safe. He thought that if he worked hard enough, he could catch up with the rising cost of housing. But the truth is, playing it safe is not always the best strategy. In fact, it can be a recipe for disaster. When you're playing it safe, you're often stuck in a cycle of uncertainty. You're waiting for the perfect moment to make a move, but that moment never comes. And in the meantime, the game continues to change. The rules shift, and the players adapt. But you're stuck in neutral, unable to capitalize on the opportunities around you. This is precisely what happened to Steve. He was stuck in a cycle of waiting, always waiting for the perfect moment to buy a house. But the perfect moment never came. And instead of taking control of his financial future, he was at the mercy of the housing market. He was a tenant, not an owner. He was a renter, not an investor. So what's the illusion of playing it safe? It's the idea that if you work hard enough, you can catch up with the rising costs of housing. It's the idea that if you just wait a little longer, the market will stabilize and prices will come back down. But the truth is, the housing market is a complex system. It's influenced by a multitude of factors, including interest rates, government policies, and economic trends. And it's not always easy to predict what will happen next. In fact, the housing market is often unpredictable. It's a game of chance, where the rules change constantly. And if you're playing it safe, you're often left behind. You're stuck in a cycle of uncertainty, unable to capitalize on the opportunities around you. But what if I told you that there's another way to play the game? What if I told you that you can take control of your financial future, even in a volatile market? It's called digital real estate, and it's a game changer. The traditional housing market is broken. Prices are disconnected from wages. Ownership is locked behind debt, and rent is extracting value without building wealth. It's a system that's designed to keep you in the tenant category, not the owner category. It's a system that's designed to keep you renting, not investing. But here's the thing. You don't have to play by the rules of the traditional housing market. You can create your own rules, your own game. And that game is called digital real estate. Digital real estate is a game changer. It's a way to create wealth without buying physical property. It's a way to build assets that pay rent without the need for a mortgage. And it's a way to take control of your financial future, even in a volatile market. But what is digital real estate exactly? It's a digital asset that generates income. It's a YouTube channel, a newsletter, a niche blog, or a community. These are assets that pay rent in the form of ad revenue, affiliate income, product sales, and brand deals. And the best part? They cost $0 to start. No bank approval, no mortgage, no permission required. It's a level playing field where everyone has an equal chance to succeed. And the potential for growth is limitless. The truth no one wants to say is that attention is the new oil. Platforms don't pay creators because they're generous. They pay because attention is scarce and valuable. And if you can't create attention, you're not going to succeed in the digital real estate game. But here's the thing. You already own the raw material. You own your ideas, your experience, your curiosity, and your voice. And with digital real estate, you can turn those raw materials into assets that pay rent. Steve's moment of realization was a turning point. He realized that the game had changed, and he needed to adapt. He needed to stop playing it safe and start building his own digital real estate. And that's exactly what he did. He started building a YouTube channel, a newsletter, and a niche blog. He created a community around his content and monetized it with ad revenue, affiliate income, and product sales. And within a year, he was generating a steady income from his digital assets. Steve's story is a cautionary tale of playing it safe, but it's also a testament to the power of digital real estate. It shows that with the right mindset and strategy, you can take control of your financial future, even in a volatile market. As we've explored the story of Steve and the concept of digital real estate, it's essential to understand the enemy we're up against. The traditional housing market is no longer a viable path to building wealth and achieving financial freedom. It's a system that's designed to keep you in a state of perpetual renting, with prices that continue to rise, interest rates that climb, and down payments that become increasingly unaffordable. Think about it. The average home price in the United States is over $270,000. That's a staggering amount, especially when you consider the fact that the median household income is around $67,000. The math just doesn't add up, and it's clear that the housing market is broken. But it's not just about the numbers, it's about the underlying system that perpetuates inequality and limits opportunities for growth. When we talk about the housing market, we often use phrases like playing it safe or investing in a solid asset. But the truth is, owning a home is not as secure as we think. The value of your home can fluctuate wildly, and even if you do manage to buy a property, you'll still be on the hook for mortgage payments, property taxes, and maintenance costs. And let's not forget the fact that you'll be tied to a specific location with limited flexibility to move or travel. Steve, the guy we met in the story, thought he was playing it safe by following the traditional path. He got a degree, worked hard, and saved every dollar he could. But despite his best efforts, he was unable to break into the housing market. And that's because the game has already changed. The rules have been rewritten, and the old strategies no longer apply. For Steve, the turning point came when he realized that the people telling him to just work harder were making money online, not from property. They were building YouTube channels, creating newsletters, and launching niche blogs. And these digital assets were generating income just like a house would, but without the need for a mortgage or down payment. That's when Steve stopped trying to buy real estate and started building it. He realized that he didn't need to own physical property to build wealth. He could create digital assets that would generate income and provide a sense of security. To put the housing market into perspective, let's look at some numbers. According to Zillow, the median home value in the United States is over $270,000, but the median household income is around $67,000. That means that the average person would need to save for over 40 years to afford a down payment on a median-priced home. And even then, they'd be taking on a mortgage with a 20% down payment, which would still leave them with a significant amount of debt. The numbers are staggering, and they highlight the fact that the housing market is broken. It's no longer a viable path to building wealth and achieving financial freedom. But what's the alternative? How can you build wealth without buying a home? That's where digital real estate comes in, and that's what we'll explore in the next section. The traditional housing market is a beast, and it's not just because of the prices. It's because of the rules. The rules that tell you to work harder, save more, and wait patiently for the right moment to buy. But what if I told you that those rules are rigged? That the game has changed and the odds are stacked against you? Let me share a secret. The housing market isn't broken by accident. It's a system designed to keep people like Steve in a state of perpetual renting. Steve, the guy who worked overtime, saved every dollar he could and still couldn't afford a home. He was playing a game where the rules had already changed. The prices jumped faster than his savings, interest rates climbed, and down payments became impossible. But Steve wasn't lazy. He wasn't irresponsible. He was just playing the wrong game. The game of buying physical property is a game of scarcity. There's only so much land, only so many houses, and only so many buyers. But what if I told you that there's a new game in town? A game where the rules are different and the stakes are higher? Firstly, prices are disconnected from wages. The cost of living is rising, but wages are not keeping pace. This means that people like Steve are forced to take on more debt to keep up with the cost of housing. It's a vicious cycle that's hard to break. Secondly, ownership is locked behind debt. You can't own a home without taking on a mortgage, and that mortgage comes with interest, fees, and penalties. It's a trap that's designed to keep people renting, not owning. Thirdly, rent is extracting value without building wealth. When you rent a property, you're not building any equity. You're not building any wealth. You're just paying someone else to use the property. The modern landlord doesn't collect rent from tenants. They collect it from views, clicks, and trust. And the crazy part? You already own the raw material, your ideas, your experience, your curiosity, and your voice. The traditional housing market is a system that's designed to keep people like Steve in a state of perpetual renting. But what if I told you that there's a new way to play the game? A way that doesn't require a mortgage, a down payment, or a permission slip from the bank? A way that allows you to build wealth, create value, and own the attention of your audience? It's called digital real estate, and it's the new frontier in building wealth and creating value. In the next section, we'll explore what digital real estate is and how you can use it to build a fortune that's not tied to the traditional housing market. As we wrap up this conversation, I want to leave you with a final thought. The traditional housing market may be broken, But that doesn't mean you're stuck in a never-ending cycle of renting or trying to buy a house that's perpetually out of reach. You have the power to create your own financial freedom, and it starts with a simple shift in mindset. Think back to Steve, the guy we met at the beginning of this video. He was stuck in a game that was rigged against him, and he was starting to lose hope. But then, he had a moment of clarity. He realized that the rules had changed, and he needed to adapt. He stopped trying to buy real estate and started building it. This is the moment when Steve transitioned from being a tenant to becoming a landlord. He started creating digital assets that generated passive income, and he began to build wealth in a way that was no longer dependent on the traditional housing market. So, what does it mean to be a digital landlord? It means recognizing that attention is the new oil. It means understanding that you own the raw material, your ideas, your experience, your curiosity, and your voice, and that you can use these assets to create a business that generates revenue. As a digital landlord, you're not limited by the constraints of the traditional housing market. You can start small, and you can scale your business to match your goals. You can create a YouTube channel, a newsletter, or a niche blog that generates ad revenue, affiliate income, or product sales. The key is to focus on building a community that values your expertise and your unique perspective. When you create content that resonates with your audience, you're not just generating revenue, you're building a loyal following that will support you for years to come. So if you're tired of waiting for permission to start building your financial future, it's time to take the leap. Start small and focus on building a digital asset that generates passive income. You can do this, and you don't need a mortgage to get started. One of the biggest advantages of building digital real estate is that you can start small. You don't need to break the bank or take on a massive amount of debt to get started. You can begin with a simple YouTube channel or a niche blog, and you can scale your business as you gain momentum. This is a huge advantage over the traditional housing market, where you're often required to make a massive down payment or take on a significant amount of debt to get started. With digital real estate, you can start small and build your way up, which makes it much more accessible to people who may not have the financial resources to invest in a traditional house. So how do you make the mindset shift from being a tenant to becoming a digital landlord? It starts with recognizing that you own the raw material, your ideas, your experience, your curiosity, and your voice. It means understanding that you can use these assets to create a business that generates revenue, and that you're not limited by the constraints of the traditional housing market. It means being brave enough to take the leap and start building your digital real estate. It means being willing to learn and adapt, and to take calculated risks to scale your business. And it means being committed to building a community that values your expertise and your unique perspective. If you're ready to make the mindset shift and become a digital landlord, I want to leave you with a final challenge. Take the next 30 days to focus on building a digital asset that generates passive income. It could be a YouTube channel, a newsletter, or a niche blog. Whatever it is, make it something that you're passionate about and that you're willing to put in the effort to build. At the end of 30 days, I want you to take a step back and evaluate your progress. Have you generated any revenue? Have you built a community that values your expertise? Have you started to make progress towards your financial goals? If you have, congratulations, you're on the right track. And if you haven't, don't worry. It's okay to start small, and it's okay to take your time. The key is to keep moving forward and to stay committed to building your digital real estate. That's it for today's video, folks. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I hope you found value in the story of Steve and the concept of digital real estate. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And if you're ready to take the leap and start building your digital real estate, I'd love to see you in the comments as you take the first step towards financial freedom.